What a headline. What an absolute headline. The world's largest piracy site has surpassed both Disney Plus and Crunchyroll in monthly visits. That is absolutely huge. Now, let's put aside Crunchyroll. I don't actually think that's that much of a feat. We're talking about a legal anime streaming website. Yes, technically an illegal streaming website beating it does make sense. But Disney, the Hollywood behemoth that is Disney Plus, is being surpassed by an anime-only piracy site? That's massive. Now, yes, most people that know me, you know my content, you know I'm building into a joke here. But yes, I've been seeing this popping up everywhere. Now, the initial time that I seen this report, I'm like, that's not really that big of a deal. Like, if you know what the inner workings of these systems, that's not actually a massive feat that people think it is. But of course, like usually when I think that something is not that big and that the data is kind of broken in a way, I see it pop up everywhere and people are taking it really seriously. And so now here I am to finally do my video to actually tell people, I guess, the deeper context of what we're seeing here. Face value, yes, this is massive. This actually shows how popular anime itself is. It's something that is going to catch people's attention. And I think big investors and big companies are going to take note of this kind of stuff. Not the fact that, yes, piracy itself is beating all this stuff, because that is actually a concern for a lot of companies. You have like Toei, you have all these big companies in Japan that are going, you guys are messing up. Obviously, you guys are messing up and you're going to have to do something about this. You have literally everybody's reporting that this piracy website is getting more traffic than our content on your platforms. That is a big, massive concern. And there's a unfortunate side effect of this where we're probably going to see more stronger DRM and whatnot that are going to be imposed on a lot of our platforms that we're currently using legally. Yes, piracy sites are going to figure out ways around that. Let's be perfectly clear. But it is going to basically put a lot of pressure on these companies. But yes, this is nothing new. This is something that's always been happening. And yes, the reason why this particular unknown website, I like how people say unknown, don't say what the website is, what the website is. This is like the worst kept secret ever. And I'm sure people are going to get mad at me for showing that the website's on these websites. This is not a secret or anything, even though people like to act like these piracy websites are some sort of secret that, hush, hush, don't tell your friend, but this is where I go. Don't tell Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll knows. These companies know about these websites. But I digress. The reason why this particular website is getting so much traffic is that all these other websites are being shut down and all the traffic is coming to it. Now, the reason why I get into why I pretty much went, oh, yeah, that's not really the full context there, moving on, and didn't really kind of get into this information here is because I immediately knew that this is kind of bogus info. This stuff is not good info. It's, again, good metrics that people will take note of, but it's not good info. Again, the actual source of this whole thing is Torrent Freak, who, again, use SimilarWeb. Now, for those who don't know what SimilarWeb is, it's a website that actually aggregates information and traffic and whatnot, and kind of just aggregates it all together, gets rid of a lot of like redundancies and whatnot, and tries to give a picture about traffic for certain websites. And so, yes, you have like here, youtube.com. Yes, 30 billion views. It's huge. Now, again, I want to note here, it's not just 30 billion views. And we're going to get into more of that as we go into this whole thing. But what they're doing is they're basically taking information from things like Google Analytics and whatnot. They're taking it from, yes, scrubbers. They're getting it from different applications and different add-ons that you put onto your browser. And yes, they won't say it, but it's similar to previous companies that do this that have been shut down, is they will use different free apps and whatnot that you will download. So if you put an antivirus software onto your computer, stuff like that, allegedly, they're using data from those companies. And so they're basically using information from different sources and different add-ons and whatnot in order to get a picture as to what's going on. And they'll even have apps their own that you can install and give them that information. So they're aggregating all this information to get a sense. This isn't like literal information here. This doesn't mean that this website is reporting, and it does not mean that they have an exact total of 373. It's an estimate. It's an idea of what's going on with these different companies. But the biggest problem, and this is really in the end of the day, the reason why I want to make this video to give people an idea here is that the reason why I kind of went, is because, yes, knowing that it's from SimilarWeb, I know it's just estimates here. But the bigger reason as to why I was puzzled as to why people are making a big deal out of this is because this information is not the bigger picture. The biggest thing that you can tell here is that there is no way in hell that Disney only gets twice as much traffic as Crunchyroll with how big Disney is. There's no way that an anime streaming website is going to get more viewerships than Disney. Their website itself, yes, we're talking there. But that's not where Disney Plus gets its viewership. That's not where Crunchyroll gets its viewership. A good portion of this website gets it from browser, but Disney themselves, this is not where all the people are watching their content. They're not watching Disney Plus on a browser. They're not watching Crunchyroll on a browser. There's a lot of people that do. There's a lot of people that are using these websites for that sake, but most people that are using Disney Plus's website is for setting their account information, for signing up, for getting that information in. Crunchyroll, yeah, same thing there. Most people are using it to actually log into their account and whatnot. But most of the actual traffic for Disney and Crunchyroll is through their apps. And yes, SimilarWeb does not get that information. SimilarWeb has no way of knowing how much you view on Crunchyroll's app. They don't know how much you're viewing on Disney's app. Most of that traffic for those particular platforms are going through Amazon Web Services or something. If you're looking at a video on Disney Plus's app, it's going through Amazon Web Services. That's where they have those videos stored. The only reason that they have that information about like Disney and whatnot on SimilarWeb is because you're going to DisneyPlus.com. Directly to there in your Safari browser on your phone, on your computer through Chrome or whatever. That's how they're getting that data. And again, they're fabricating that information on statistics and whatnot. That's what these websites do. That's all they do is they fabricate that information. They sell that information to different advertisers and whatnot. Now you might be saying, well, Andrew, these piracy websites will be using apps as well. The problem there is that most people that are wanting to pirate are trying to get around ads and subscriptions and whatnot. And a lot of these apps are going to force ads to be played. And so a lot of cases with a lot of people, they're going to rather be using the browser instead in order to get around those ads. They don't want to see ads. That's why they're on the piracy site to begin with. They're going to want to use their own web browsers with some sort of pop-up blocker rather than use an app. If somebody is strictly stuck to an app and they're watching their anime, they're going to go to Crunchyroll instead where they can pay to get around the ads rather than using a piracy app website and getting served a bunch of crappy ads. Another reason why you can tell that this information is kind of fubbed is the fact that, is fubbed a word? Did I make up a word? Did I make it's fubbed? Another reason why this information is a fub is because Disney Plus has 150 million subscribers. How many does Crunchyroll have? They have only here recently reported they have 15 million. So you're talking about a service that has 15 million versus a service that has 150 million, 10 times as much, and it only has twice as much traffic. Again, people are using the apps. I think I read somewhere where they've reported that Disney Plus, only 10% of the users of Disney Plus actually use their website. 90% are using their app. And again, that 90% is not being reported by SimilarWeb. If you wanted to kind of try to flub a number here, times this by 10. And there, you have an idea of what traffic Disney Plus is using. And even then, that's kind of a flub number as well, because again, how much time is people spending on each one of those apps, where they're going on the app, how much they're watching on the app. It's just saying strictly if they use an app. So again, it's huge. This is a massive number. And again, I think that a lot of companies are going to take this information and go, wow, this is a huge deal. This is a huge thing. This website that is strictly for anime and it's piracy has got so much viewership. But I don't want to twist it to say that this is because this service is better. I'm looking at a lot of feedback from people. There's a lot of issues on the website. Again, the reason why people are using these websites is because they don't want to pay. They want to go to these websites and get access to stuff that's pulled down from other websites. And that is a huge thing. I've talked about it several times. The one reason why I still support piracy is because stuff is not available. It's not available in your region. It doesn't have the previous seasons. A lot of these companies are just throwing up season 3 and there's no season 2 or 1. They can't get those previous seasons or whatever. And I fully understand that. In a lot of cases, these companies just don't have access to the previous seasons because they're either tied up in the other licenses, somebody else has it, or they just don't want to sell it. Or the original owner of the actual first seasons is not the same as the third season. And so they won't let them have it. There's a whole bunch of things that come into play when it comes to business. That's not always Crunchyroll's fault, but in some cases it is Crunchyroll's fault. And so I do like the idea of piracy so you can get access to those moments, but I don't want to twist it in the idea that this is meaning because this website's great or anything like that. I think it's a lot of what people want to build to make you believe that they're doing something just. I don't think that's the case. I think it's a lot the fact that a lot of people are funneling to the service. But the funny thing that comes from this whole situation is that you have the repeated things that people are saying that is absolutely false. The idea that the reason that people are going to this website is because their fan subs and their subtitles are so much better than the corpos. They're using the same subs. I don't know why people keep repeating this. Yes, they will change it eventually because I use these services. Here and there, I use these services, especially whenever there's something that's not available on Crunchyroll or something like that. I'm going to use these services. Not directly to these websites. I use other methods. And yes, in every single one of these cases, every time I get these shows, what subtitles do they have on them? It's the Crunchyroll subtitles. It's the High Dive subtitles. It's the Amazon subtitles. These people are just ripping them straight off of these websites and putting them on the piracy sites. The piracy sites themselves are not producing these subtitles for you. So people saying they don't have the woke translations, they don't have those horrible translations. It's the same damn translations. In very rare cases, you will have, yes, somebody uploads a second version or a fixed version later on, which has the corrected subtitles. Typically, those versions don't end up on a lot of these websites. They just get the first one that's available, which is the first one that Crunchyroll releases, and they throw it up on the site for you to stream. It's never that the website itself has some kind of database of people in the background that are typing up translations and doing a great job to do your translations, and they post it up there all for your sake. No, they have bots that do it for them. The bot waits for Crunchyroll to post it, it pulls it off the website immediately, it does all the changes to the file itself so that it can stream perfectly on their website, and it just throws it up there. It's all a bot. It does it automatically. There's nobody that's doing you a favor here. They're just pulling it, putting it on this website, throwing up their ads, you see the ads, you pay them money for pulling it from Crunchyroll. It's odd that people make this into some sort of feat. Like people are doing something for your benefit. They're not. They're just reposting it somewhere else and making ads. Now, again, I want to say the great thing about it is that there's no license restriction here because eventually Crunchyroll is going to lose it after they pull it off their website. But the website that it's now on is not beholden to that, and thus it will remain there. So there's always a positive to this stuff that I always want to acknowledge, but I don't think people should twist it up. This isn't some feat. This isn't Fansubbers coming back. The sad reality of it is that Fansubbers are gone. For the most part, the existence of Fansubbers is going away. There's no need for them anymore because Crunchyroll's translating everything. So yes, when you have a rare case when a show isn't licensed in the West and there's no global release that has, say, English subtitles, what happens? It takes forever for the show to get translated because you have to, it's almost like people have to like go, hey, Todd from like 10 years ago when we used to need fan translations all the time, can you please come back to work? We need Summertime Render. Summertime Render took forever to get subtitles. It took upwards of 2 weeks to get a proper translation of some of the episodes because the guy that was doing it at the time wasn't always available. It was a stretch to get these episodes at that time. People don't realize the reason why these piracy websites have so much content on it so quickly, because again, they just pull it straight from Crunchyroll and repost it. That's all they're doing. But I'm getting sidetracked here. I want to acknowledge that this is a massive feat. The idea that just website views on Safari and Chrome and whatnot, these piracy websites are just absolutely taking off. And again, I think a lot of these companies are going to take this seriously. They already are. And again, a lot of this is just funneled. So it's like the same amount of people, it's just growing because it's all being funneled to one location. But it's not as big as you might actually think it is. This is a very small fraction of the viewership on Disney Plus and Crunchyroll than what's on this website. A lot of people that pirate anime are pulling it from torrents. They're pulling it from piracy websites and whatnot. Yes, a lot of people are going to be using apps, but if you look up the apps that people are using for a lot of these websites, the amount of downloads on Google Play and whatnot are very minuscule, and it's got really horrible ratings. The viewerships for apps for official services like Disney and Crunchyroll, which is going to be your common people, the people that are just wanting to watch a show on their phone as they're going to work. They're wanting to watch a show on their TV when they get home from work. That's your common person, your majority of viewership that's coming through these services. Again, that stuff is all being done through apps. And again, like I said before, these numbers are just not really accurate at all because you have like literally 10 times as many actual subscribers on one platform than another. It's another reason why you can see these numbers are absolutely skewed. And you're going to have a lot more things that people are going to be using Crunchyroll.com for, such as their e-commerce, their news and whatnot, than Disney Plus's website. Again, Disney Plus's website's probably a majority of that is people going there in order to check their account information and go there and change their sub information and stuff like that. And all that stuff through these tracking services is registering clicks. It's just not really necessarily the same thing here. But anyways, I want to get on here and give people that care a little bit of context here. There's a lot of cases where I just don't really want to make videos on this stuff to kind of at least not really necessarily dispute it, but more so give deeper context, is because a lot of people get heated in the idea of even remotely defending a company like Crunchyroll. That's not really what I'm doing here. Again, this is massive, but again, this isn't Crunchyroll's viewership. Again, it's through apps. But anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed this extra content. If you did, hit the like button down below, because I'm sure all the Crunchyroll haters are going to be hitting this like button. But if you like videos like this with the extra context and you want to stick around, hit the subscribe button. If you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciated, guys. Until next time, y'all take care.